Key topics we will discuss in Part 3 will be the scope and nature of the Energy Efficiency Challenge, the diverse skills that are needed to conduct an energy audit, and the shortcomings of traditional methods for home energy auditing. The challenge of energy efficiency is significant. 40% of the energy we use in the United States is used in buildings. We use energy in our homes for many different reasons, and while it varies from different climate zones, the national average for how energy is used in homes looks something like this, and includes energy for heating, cooling, water heating, lighting, computers, electronics, appliances, refrigerators, and other things. As you can also see, the distribution of energy use in homes is not much different from that in commercial buildings, but it's actually a little greater in overall size. In climates like the Northeast, where we have long, cold winters, the percentage of heating might be a little larger than average. Similarly, in the Southwest, the amount of energy we use for cooling would be a little bigger. It's also important to note that a typical family spends about $2,000 a year on home energy, and that is steadily increasing as our energy costs rise and the global demand for energy increases. Also, over half the energy we produce in the United States is actually wasted due to losses in efficiency. We'll talk more about this later. It's important to understand that while there's no shortage of very logical and rational explanations about how to save energy in our homes, many homeowners are very slow to take action. Let's take a look at some of the reasons for this. In many cases, homeowners lack access to good information, or they hear too much information and are not sure which of the pieces of advice they have should actually be the ones to follow. Also, homes are fairly complex systems, and it's not immediately obvious in most cases whether some actions should be taken to improve energy efficiency versus others. We'll spend a good amount of time looking at the importance of thinking about homes as a system. It's also important to understand that in many cases, the people that are most in need of help to save energy are the least able to make investments in home energy improvements. While they struggle to make ends meet and put food on the table for their families, the thought of spending money on insulation or fixing a broken window can seem insurmountable. That's why one of the goals of the NELC is to help folks who are most in need of some support to make energy improvements in their homes. It's also interesting that while there's a lot of new technologies on the shelves like programmable thermostat at Lowe's and Home Depot, many of them are not very well understood. They're new, and in many cases they're just dismissed because they look expensive. We don't take the time to realize that in many cases if we would use them, they would actually pay for themselves fairly quickly. There's also a shortage of competent leaders to actually work one-on-one with homeowners to understand the unique features of their homes and the people that are living there and some of their priorities and concerns, and to work directly with these unique situations to help homeowners make sense of what to do. Most in-home energy assessments are conducted by certified professionals who have a focus on physical features of the home. They're fairly time-consuming and expensive to conduct, and an energy auditor needs many valuable and important skills and experience in different kinds of homes. They also need to convince a homeowner to let them in the door and look around. Is your basement and bathroom ready for an inspection? So let's take a look at some of the skills that a trained auditor needs to have to conduct an energy audit. They first need to be able to engage the homeowner in the energy audit process. They need to collect detailed information about the house and its size, the volume, construction materials, the status and age of appliances and furnaces, etc. They also need to conduct diagnostic tests like blower doors and combustion tests to make sure they fully understand the physics of the house and how it's performing. They also need to apply different analysis methods like energy modeling to assess and compare different measures that can be taken to improve the energy efficiency in a home. And finally, they need to make recommendations to homeowners about what to do and hopefully do that in a way that the homeowner actually understands and can act upon. As you can imagine, it's not easy for one person to develop all of these skills. Also, traditional energy audits that we encounter in the marketplace have several shortcomings. Here's a few of them. First of all, they're fairly time-consuming. They usually take 2 or 3 hours plus time to come back to the home office and analyze the data. Some homeowners don't want to spend 2 or 3 hours with someone in their homes, so overall it's tricky to pull that off. They're also fairly costly. They typically cost about $500 to homeowners, and in many cases, unless there's a subsidy or some construction project that's going to come out of it, they're fairly expensive to deliver and not very profitable to conduct. Hence, there's not a lot of businesses that are out there to provide energy audits. Also, as we discussed, they're fairly demanding. The skills and experience that are required to do a whole house energy audit are fairly extensive, and they need to be developed over time and through experience. Another significant shortcoming is that they can be short-lived. Most energy audits focus on one-time interventions rather than long-term engagement with homeowners. They seek to convince a homeowner to add insulation or replace windows or seal gaps in the house, but after that there's very little follow-up to look at other things that could be done in the home. They're also fairly impersonal and can be conducted by a technically trained individual who may miss out on the chance to really engage the homeowner and apply some theories of behavioral science and leadership to engage that homeowner in the process of learning about their home and get interested in saving energy or helping them take the results of the audit and put it into practice. The energy service industry is also very fractured, so there's a lack of standardization about what an energy audit actually is and how to report on the results. The NELC is designed to address many of these shortcomings and the challenges of the home energy audit industry. Let's talk about some attributes of a better solution. The NELC is focused on a new form of home energy audits that will help link homeowners with the right information, the advice, and the ability to deliver that in a means that's more effective and affordable than traditional audits. One way to do that is to think about different types of audits that are needed instead of one style of traditional audit conducted by a home auditor. One approach is a self-audit in which a homeowner can get some good information on a brochure or online and learn some things they can do their own. This is the DIY audit. The next type is a home energy assessment, which can be conducted by a coach or assessor and that conducts a walk through the home with the homeowner to set priorities but probably doesn't spend the amount of time that's required for a detailed audit. This is the type of audit that the NELC is pursuing. A full energy audit is performed by a professional and includes home diagnostics and energy modeling to evaluate variable energy efficiency measures and their return on investment. Finally, there are deep audits where the homeowner explores more advanced features to replace significant elements of their homes or even to add renewable energy sources like ground source heat pumps or solar energy. One of the main goals of the NELC is to understand that there are these different types of home energy assessment programs, and we need to be thinking about what's the right kind of assessment for a particular homeowner to pursue. The NELC also places an increased emphasis on behavior. Market segmentation is an important factor to keep in mind and allows us to consider the worldview of homeowners and how interested they are in taking different types of actions. We also seek to initiate some long-term engagement of homeowners rather than a one-time invention and a single retrofit. And in addition, we need to seek and embrace social networking and other forms of continuous learning and engagement of homeowners over time that can help them become part of communities and saving energy.